Hi, everybody. Welcome into Morning in the Valley, Wednesday, August the 6th. Glad you are with us. Today is, unfortunately, the final day of college basketball, at least for another 89 days, as Murray State wrapping up their trip to the Bahamas with their third exhibition game down there in the Bahamas. And coming up here in just a few minutes, we will talk with my tag team partner from the Racer Sports Network. We will talk with Kenny Roth and get his thoughts on what he's seen the last couple of days out of the Racers as they get picked up a couple of wins, trying to go 3 for 3 today. We'll get into all that coming up in just a moment. Coming up Friday, UIC guard Ahmad Henderson will join the program. Excited to have him here with us. If you have not done so already, wherever you may be watching us today, please head over to YouTube, subscribe to Morning in the Valley, share, comment, like, all that stuff, and just keep this little train chugging along as I think today is show number 50. And so glad you've hung with us for that long, and looking forward to the next 50 as we continue to move towards November 3rd and the start of the 25-26 season. We will start today with the Bahamas, and we will start with the Murray State Racers as Ryan Miller's foray into head coaching has gone as expected. I think the first two games down in the Bahamas, Monday beating the University of Calgary 103-77, and then yesterday against a team from the Bahamas called the Raw Talent Elite. It was 120-59. Not much resistance at all there from the Raw Talent Elite squad. Today, the Racers will be done sometime before 10 o'clock, and then at 10 o'clock over on YouTube, you can watch game number 3 of the series. Murray State was supposed to play a Bahamas select team today, but on Monday, that Bahamas select team played Nevada, who is down there as well, doing their little summer exhibition tour down there in the Bahamas, and Nevada won by 75. So somewhere an executive decision was made to wander down the hall and say, hey, Calgary, would you be interested in playing again today? And Calgary agreed. So the Racers going to get a much more challenging opponent, and that may be relative in the end. But, again, hopefully in a game that you go in by 30 instead of maybe 70, you can learn a little bit more about yourself. What we have learned so far, and just to see it in practice as opposed to just the hypothetical conversations for the last 4.5 months about what does a Ryan Miller team look like? What does he want to do? How does he want to play? The Racers are going to play fast. There is absolutely no question about that. It has been up-tempo, run, shoot threes, press. It has been an exciting brand of basketball, again, against limited competition, and so that's certainly going to inflate some numbers. But to me, the big standout so far has been Fred King, the 6'9", 267-pound man in the middle, who has just been dominant so far. He had 23 points, 11 rebounds in the first win over Calgary. At 16 and 6 yesterday. Racers had 7 players in double figures, but it has just been, you see what can be. And 3 months out, and there's so much more time to refine this, but you're just like, okay, this is something. And it is certainly a different product than we've really seen at Murray State in, I would say years, but years and years and years of just such a high pressure, high speed. Everything is go, 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 go. And certainly an entertaining brand of basketball without question. Lachlan Crate, the New Zealand product, went 7 for 7 from the field on Monday, had 15 points. Again, yesterday, 7 players in double figures. Matisse Corbin, the Frenchman, had 14. Javon Jackson, the former UIC guard, had 16, 8 for 8 at the free throw line. So everybody's had their moments. I think the big things to take away from this event, and as I talked about on Monday, this to me, this isn't a game. How'd they do in the game? It's kind of, I think, if you want to make sort of and having any sort of big picture thoughts about this, it's exhibition against lesser competition. But I think you would just kind of want to see the week as a whole, how it all shakes out in totality. Fred King, the only Racer to start game 1 and 2. Other than that, there was a complete shakeup, and that's kind of, again, my big takeaway so far is Fred King will start. We know that. Everybody else is kind of up for grabs. There are so much depth. I think you can certainly make arguments for 12, 13, maybe 14 guys to get time. There isn't going to be time for all those guys. So that will be a big component for Ryan Miller to kind of weed that down to whatever his final number is in terms of a rotation. But you also have the point of, guys, you're not playing well. We've got people behind you we can put in. So a little bit of heat that he can put on his guys to make sure they continue to play hard, play well, and all that stuff throughout the season. Injury news coming out, which is you want to get out of this trip unscathed for Murray State. Dylan Anderson, the 7-footer, has not played the first 2 games. Don't expect him to play the third. My understanding, just a little bit dinged up, nothing serious, but they were just going to hold him out precautionary. Roman Doman, the other 6'9" Frenchman who spent all summer playing in those FIBA events, was literally got to Murray the day before the team left for the Bahamas. So he doesn't have a clue what's going on in terms of how they want to play and so on. So he has not played at all. And there could be an argument, and it's up to, at this point, again, it's August, but an argument could be made from certain sectors that Roman Doman is the best player on Murray State's team, and he has not played 1 second this week. The other injury news that happened while the Racers were down there was Mason Miller, the 6'9" wing, the nephew of head coach Ryan Miller, played 25 seconds yesterday. He took a 3-pointer in the corner, and he was fouled. And it was when he was coming down, the defender, as he fouled him, they knocked knees. And Miller went to the line, shot his 3 free throws. They got him out of the game, and that was it. So we don't know what his status is going to be today. As I said yesterday with my Murray State folks, like if he's not 100%, even if he's at 99%, I don't expect him to play today just for precautionary reasons. They don't need to mess anything around. But if he's out there today, it was nothing, and he'll be fine. But that's the only thing you're just trying to avoid to get out of the Bahamas all in one piece. But all in all, 2 for 2 for the Racers. They'll get the best test they can get down there in the Bahamas today against the University of Calgary. They'll start at 10 a.m. And we'll talk about what we have seen. And he has arrived. And we don't like to keep our man waiting any longer than we have to. We're going to welcome in my tag team partner on the Murray State Radio Network. He is Kenny Roth, getting ready for season number 12 as a analyst with Murray State Radio. And somehow he is back for number 12, even though it means it is year number 3 with me. So I give him all the credit for sticking around this long. Kenny Roth, let's welcome him in. Kenny, good morning to you, sir. How are you? Kenny, you hear me?
Things are great. Good to see you. Good to be on Mornings in the Valley.
I love it when you lie to me. But I'm glad to see you. It's been a little while since we've crossed paths. 2 games in 2 days for the Racers down in the Bahamas. What's been the grand overall takeaway from you?
Well, I think it's difficult to look at the individual stats, and the team stats. Just look at the stat sheet to really get a gauge on things. What I love about this team that I've seen is how hard they play, and they have. You can see 1 through 14 or 13, I guess, in the Bahamas, but playing hard is a learned skill, and it's not something that comes automatic to everyone. And you can see that Ryan Miller is demanding that every day in practice. And when you have depth like this team has, then playing hard becomes very important because playing time follows that. And so I think that's the great advantage that he has this year with this roster, is that practices are extremely competitive. And we're seeing that on the floor in the first 2 games of the Bahamas, that this team plays extremely hard.
I know you're always a fan of, I want to recruit as many guys on my roster as I can that can play. You don't need window dressing down there, and for that depth and so on. The one guy that I don't know anybody's going to be able to catch him at this point, at least through 2 days, and what we've seen has been Fred King. He has been just a dominant force in the middle. What have you liked about Fred and what he's brought to the table so far?
He is a load. I mean, he is so big, not only with his height at 6'9", but when you come in at 260, whatever he actually weighs, and have the hands and the feet that he has. He's quite a player. I have been impressed what I've seen in practice, but watching him in competition against some size in these 2 games in Bahamas, he's been very good. What I really like about him is how intentional he is when he sets a ball screen or even a screen away from the ball. You can tell that he's been coached at Creighton, and he understands angles, how to set screens. And when that wide body sets a screen and the offensive player uses it correctly, good things happen offensively. The other thing that I really like is that he catches it in traffic. I mean, he's going to have traffic around him this season because he'll be a focus of defensive game plans, but he catches it clean and is able to get it to the basket. There's times he likes to pat it a little bit on the floor. For us old coaches, when big guys start dribbling it in there, they draw attention. But he'll clean that up as help starts coming from the perimeter, and forcing some double teams. And I think he's a willing passer, out of double teams. So he's been finishing at a high rate, 17 out of 24 from the field in 2 games. And so when he touches it, good things happen.
He runs the floor too. It's get a rebound. Yeah. He's beating everybody down the floor. And for a team that wants to play fast, when you get a big guy like that, I mean, it's a dream.
I worry a little bit about, foul trouble for him. The whistle in the Bahamas is little or none. If there's blood, they're going to call it. And so, I think he'll have to work hard to stay out of foul trouble. And for him, probably the biggest hurdle is fatigue fouls of, when he gets winded going up and down, which they're going to be doing, reaching or leaving his feet when he shouldn't and getting that second foul early in a half. But, I think if Ryan Miller could get 25 minutes, 28 minutes even a game, from Fred, that would be a great target.
Ryan Miller, man, it's just such a unique atmosphere now in college basketball. He comes in, he's got he hires a staff and brings in 15 new guys. And yes, there's some connective tissue to his past, but it's all brand new on top of the fact that he is a first-time head coach. Just from as much as you've been able to be around them this summer and now sort of seeing some product on the court, how do you think he has handled these first 4 months? And from your seat, what's the biggest challenge for him as we work through these next 3 months getting ready for the opener?
I think the one thing that's really been helpful for him is having some carryover from some guys that played at Creighton. And so, there's 3 players that have a connection to him that know the drills, that know, a lot of the offense. Fred King probably, coming fresh out of Creighton, probably knows it all better than anyone. But I like his intentionality on making sure it's done right. And he doesn't let anything slide in practice. He's not scared to confront. And I think coaches now at times have concerns with confronting players. Is it going to make them upset, or they going to want to try to leave, or do I need to hold his hand a little more? But he treats them very well off the court. But then he's able to really coach them aggressively on the court. And once again, that competition in practice every day really helps that. But I heard Dave Winder say something about putting in 130 sets offensively so far. Wow. I mean, that's goodness. That's a load. If that is in fact true, I hope the Racers can run about 10 of them really good. And but that's offensive creativity is his specialty. And so I think we'll see, a lot of different variations of that open post offense that Creighton made famous.
I thought the neat part about this event so far through 2 days is it's almost every player has had a moment or a couple of moments where you're like, okay, you see the flashes of why they've been brought in and what they're going to be able to provide. I think a young man that's maybe surprised me a little bit and given more than I expected was Lachlan Crate, the young man from New Zealand who, obviously he's been playing. He's an older freshman, being an international kid, goes 7 for 7 from the field on Monday. And just, he's got a strong body, physical, and he looks ready to go. What have you liked out of Lachlan so far?
Once again, back to playing hard. I really think he might be the hardest playing guy on the roster, that as far as these two games, every possession he is engaged, defensively is not scared to body up, and can move for, a guy 6'6", 6'7", could probably play, anywhere, could play 3, 4, maybe even, a wing, play 2 at times. But I like his nose for the ball, I like his toughness. And he also seems like a guy that's got a high basketball IQ. I watched him one time in the first game where the ball was, kind of on at the top. He was in the corner. His defender was ball watching, and he could see his defender was ball watching. He immediately cut back door along the baseline, got a beautiful bounce pass, and laid it in. Those are the type of plays that the international players are much versed. They're just better versed in, of understanding, when my defender does this, I'm going to do that. And you can see the basketball IQ is high with Lachlan Crate.
Folks are just over the moon. You see 103 points on the board. You see 120 points on the board, and we're throwing parades in Murray, Kentucky about this team. I've heard some grumblings, maybe from the coaching side of we got some defensive things we need to work on a little bit before we get to November. What has maybe stood out to you as some stuff that needs cleaned up a little bit on that end?
Well, I think the part that, to me, defensively that is good is that their effort has been outstanding. The other thing, Jeff, that I like is picking that thing up full court, where you see the ball pressure that they're applying 94 feet away from the basket. And that's hard to deal with, especially if you're playing 9, 10, 11. I don't know how many guys he's going to try to play. And then you really wear down the other team. What he did really more in the second game was the old Dean Smith run and jump, where you've got pressure on the ball in the backcourt, and when the ball defenders turn in the ball handler of running a second defender when the offense has their back turned, and then trying to double team that and everyone rotate up a man. I loved watching that. I mean, you talking about getting giddy. And I think that is what is going to create offense for this team. Now, in the half court, Brendan Mullins is, he's squirming over there because he wants it to be done a certain way. I think effort can overcome so much of that's easily cleaned up. And so I have no doubt in that Brendan Mullins will get the half court defense like he wants it. But I like it when it's extended 94 feet. Then you can really cause some havoc.
Yeah, Coach Mullins said at halftime of game one, he said, we have some defensive discipline we need to work on, but I like the effort. And to your point, effort can hide a lot of warts right now in the early going. I feel like we could go right down the roster and talk about everybody for a little bit. But one other guy I want to talk about is J.J. Traynor, the 6'8" pogo stick forward who's spent time at Louisville. He's been at DePaul. Feel like he can play just about every position on the floor for short spurts if you need him, but just a great athlete and kind of does just a little bit of everything. I think he's really going to be able to help this squad.
Yeah, his talent level ceiling is higher than a lot of the other guys on the roster. Now, I think he's a guy that's got to learn to bring it the entire time he's on the floor. But offensively, he can stretch it out to the 3-point line and then being able to put it on the floor. And so for a stretch 4 which is what he'll be playing for the most part. Maybe some 5 if foul trouble occurs, but he's going to be tough to defend because you've got to guard him to the 3-point line, but then he can go by you. And defensively, I like him as a helper. I watched him when he's off the ball and maybe someone's, coming in from the other side and he's able to come and try to, block shots from the weak side and not necessarily on the guy he's defending. But you can see he's got some intuition on that. I think that we'll have him where he'll be able to help defend the basket in the low post.
Final chance to put some stuff on film today. What do you want to see collectively out of this group today in a rematch with Calgary from Monday?
Well, it was interesting to watch Lane Taylor. First game he was he was okay, not great. I thought the second game, he can definitely score the ball, but he's also leading them assists through the first 2 games. And so he's a coach's son. He gets it. He understands how to make the extra pass. He understands, how to put the ball on the floor, when to ball fake and drive and dish. I want to see him be a little bit more aggressive. I thought at times he deferred, which is good early in the year of being that guy that's willing to make the extra pass. And then you look at the other point guard, KJ Tenner. I mean, he's fast with the ball, and he can cause so many problems. If you counted paint touches for him when the ball's in his hands, it's enormous. And you look at points in the paint that they scored, that's going to be, and everyone wants to talk about the 3-point shooting and spreading the floor and firing threes. I think where they're going to be really good is off post ups and then off driving in the paint, then kicking out for threes. So I think today, see the effort to continue on the defensive end and just the selflessness of sharing the basketball will be what I'm looking for.
Yeah, 120 points yesterday, 58 points in the paint, 36 points on 3, 26 at the free throw line. No mid-range stuff. It's all threes or threes or layups, and that's how you got to 120. Schedule's pretty much done now. 11 non-conference games. It's really a high major schedule with 5 home games, 1 road game, 5 neutral games. What jumps out to you? What the Racers have coming up once we get to November 3rd?
Well, I think you have to give a lot of credit to Nico Yanko, the athletic director, for funding this schedule, and that's being able to, have the option to go travel to play these neutral site games, which then allows you to play a higher quality opponent because, very few of those teams are going to come to Murray, Kentucky for home. To have the budget to go play those games, I think is a great gift for Ryan Miller. And you can see he is interested in trying to really challenge the team with as many neutral site games as he can schedule against top 100 teams.
He's Kenny Roth. He is my tag team partner on the Murray State Radio Network. Unfortunately, we did not get the call for the Bahamas, and I know you had your swimsuit ready to go, and but we'll have them ready for the Cayman Islands. So just get your sunscreen ready for me, and we'll see you soon enough.
Yeah, I told Nico in front of Dr. Patterson, Murray State's new president, if Dr. Patterson had told him about the enormous amount of phone calls that the president's office had received wanting the radio tag team on this trip. Sure. And I didn't get a big smile out of Nico when I passed that along. So, Cayman Islands will be nice, though.
It'll be nice. We appreciate your effort. Kenny Roth, thank you. We'll holler at you soon. There's my man, Kenny, with some internet He's working hard. He's selling insurance in Murray, Kentucky, and apparently they got a bomb shelter, and the wireless not great down there. But glad he was able to be with us here today. Again, 10 a.m., 35 minutes or so away. They will get rolling down there again. University of Calgary. It'll be round 2 with the Dinos, one of the great mascots in college basketball. It's a kind of old school Toronto Raptors vibe there, but they'll go at 10 o'clock. Find that. Just search out Murray State Calgary on YouTube. It'll pop right up, and you'll be able to watch that coming up at 10 o'clock. All right, other news of the day to get to, and let's head to Northern Iowa, where Ben Jacobson has a new contract, and this new contract is essentially a lifetime contract. It's as long as he wants to be there. It is a 5-year rolling extension there at UNI, and as he is now entering his 20th year at Northern Iowa, 54 years old, and again, however long he wants to go at this point, unless somebody comes in and throws a grenade on that contract, he will coach at Northern Iowa until he no longer wants to be there. 374 wins, the most in the history of UNI, 209 Missouri Valley Conference wins, all-time leader in the Valley. He's made 4 trips to the NCAA tournament, 3 times winning games. They got to the second round in 2015, 2016, and of course made that Sweet 16 run back in 2010. But Brian Wardle got his contract extended recently at Bradley, and now the dean of coaches in the Missouri Valley, Ben Jacobson, with a 5-year rolling deal that we might as well, again, just call a lifetime contract, because he is going to be in Cedar Falls for as long as he would like. All right, Indiana State, they have released their non-conference schedule, and I have probably spent too much time kind of banging the drum about schedules this summer, but that has become the pet project, and just trying to figure out how to crack the code to get the Valley back to 2 teams in the NCAA tournament. And I guess in the end, when I look at this schedule, it's just kind of a big okay. I don't know fully kind of what they're trying to accomplish in the end with the 11 teams. That there's no real there doesn't seem to be from the outside we're trying to do this with this schedule. And when you look at it, they have 2 non-Division 1 games. They have 2 games against Division 3 teams, which my understanding was that when you're a first-year head coach, you get an option to play 2 non-D1s, but the rest of everybody else, I don't know that they're scheduling rules, but they're at least scheduling guidelines through the conference. And Indiana State, for whatever reason, in Matthew Graves' second year, they're going to be playing 2 non-D1s, so those games matter not whatsoever when it comes down to the metrics. The rest of the schedule, they have 1 quad 1 game on the docket at Duke, and now these are using the Bart Torvik projections for this year. They are at Duke November the 14th. That's the marquee game, of course. Obviously a quad 1 game, but other than that, it's 4 quad 3s and 4 quad 4s, and when you're looking at, as we've talked all summer, it's like you want to play those top 100, top 150, give yourself chances to play the top tier teams. And then if you want to play the bottom teams, play the bottom teams. And they just didn't do that. There's only one team worse than 300 on their schedule. That's Alcorn State as part of an MTE. Everybody else is, it's 233 and 156 and 217 and 243. It's like they're in those kind of danger zones. They don't really help you, but they're going to kill you if you lose them. And so the scheduling sort of anomaly for them is they're playing Louisiana Tech twice in a week. They get Louisiana Tech at home November the 19th, and a week later they go down to Ruston as part of an MTE, and they'll play the Bulldogs again. So that's sort of the anomaly there. Again, the guidelines, there's guidelines and there's rules. And my understanding is that Valley teams are supposed to play 4 quad 1 and or quad 2 games in the course of a season. Right now, technically they have 1. Now there are rolling averages. My understanding is it's like they basically take 3-year rolling averages, and then that's how it fits in. So some of these teams, Louisiana Tech is sort of a borderline quad 2 game. And let's see who else. Maybe Charlotte could be as well. It just depends. But there's nothing that really jumps off. So what stands out to me is you got to go win some games, and you got to, like with everybody, you got to be able to win convincingly. But it's just not a metric-friendly schedule. Hopefully, it is a win-friendly schedule for Matthew Graves' bunch, as they will open up the season Monday, November the 3rd, on the road at Charlotte. Speaking of metrics and speaking of metric-friendly games, how about UIC on December the 3rd? They will welcome in Arkansas Pine Bluff, buying Pine Bluff to come in, $80,000, which really, all in all, this day and age, that's a bargain to only have to pay $80,000 for somebody to come in. The Bart Torvik projections have Pine Bluff 364 out of 365. That is the type of quad 4 game you want to go get, no question. And so Rob Eson and his team able to go chase down Pine Bluff and get them at a bargain to come in December the 3rd. 4 days later, UIC will head to Yale. They'll play there on December the 7th. That is a return game of the home and home from a season ago that UIC kind of announced their presence with a little bit of authority last November. Like, hey, we're here beating Yale at home. And so that game will be returned on December the 7th. Women's schedules, and I'm telling you, Bart Brooks, I don't know. I understand there are differences in men's scheduling and women's scheduling, but Bart Brooks is he wants every bit of smoke that is available. Told you on Monday, they got a home and home series with Tennessee. They're going to start in Knoxville. They're getting the Lady Vols to come to the Curb Center coming up next year. This year, it is return games of home and homes that were previously scheduled. It'll start December the 14th. Kentucky will roll into Nashville and the Curb Center. And then 6 days later, the Duke Blue Devils will come in on December the 20th. I mean, just an absolute grinder of a schedule, year in, year out. And he's doing his best. Last year, metrically, they ended up, I think Murray State won the tournament, went to the NCAA tournament. I think their net number ended up at like 51. Belmont was 50 when everything settled at the end of the season. And ultimately for Belmont, the only thing that kept them out of at-large consideration was they played all of these teams. They played Duke. They played Kentucky. They played Ohio State. They played Michigan. They played Mississippi State. I think there was a Kansas State in there as well. Look, Duke blew them out. I think that was it. Like they had Ohio State beat at home, got away in the fourth quarter. They had Kentucky down to the end. They had a whole bunch of these big time games that just got away late. And man, if you flip one, let alone if you somehow flip two, now you are in at-large consideration. And so he is just loading up, and he's like, bring it on. And knowing that the Valley is a just gauntlet to go through. There is no team in the Missouri Valley that will be better tested when they get to January to take on the rigors of the Missouri Valley Conference more than the Belmont Bruins, as they will get Duke and Kentucky in their building in the week and a half before Christmas, and big opportunities for Belmont to really help out that potential at-large consideration. Also, when you look at, and one other scheduling note for them, they are going, Murray State's in the Bahamas. Belmont's going to be playing in the exact same ballroom coming up Thanksgiving week, and the Pink Flamingo Championship down there. And there are heavy hitters waiting on them down there. Alabama, West Virginia, Minnesota, Ohio State, Harvard. There's a bunch. South Florida in it as well. Other potential matchups to better their cause. So just a great schedule for Bart Brooks. Speaking of the NCAA tournament, we have learned that finally, America's longest running nightmare here for the last 6-8 weeks or so. It's now off the table, as the NCAA announcing that there will be no tournament expansion for 2025-2026, as the time was running out. I think that's the bottom line. In the end, this is a money conversation. It was a conversation of whether we're going from 68 to 72 or 76, and you're looking for, the NCAA obviously wants to be compensated for this extra television product they are providing, and the CBS, True TV, TNT, all those folks going, yeah, I'm not really sure there is any more value. So if you're going to add these extra 8 teams, you're now offering more units out, but you're not offering more pie. So everybody's slice of the pie gets a little smaller. That in the end is going to be the North Star of this entire operation. Can they get more money? As soon as one of the TV networks says, we will give you more money, there will be more teams in this tournament. They will figure out logistics be damned. It will be done. It hasn't happened yet. So everything else, I just have to believe that was the main roadblock, and that they could have figured out a way. It'd have been, it's a scramble because, I mean, look, 8 months from now, we're crowning a national champion, but they'd have figured it out. But without the money piece, it was a non-starter from the jump. But no tournament expansion for 25-26. The keynote, though, coming from the folks in charge of this saying still very much on the table for 26-27. They're just going to step back and sort of recircle their wagons. And we will be talking about this next spring and probably sooner if they are able to strong arm somebody and get some more cash out of the TV side to provide some more cash to pass out to the NCAA team. Speaking of cash, this was an interesting note today, as late yesterday, the Division I Board of Directors is proposing or introducing a proposal for there to be 3 additional units handed out during the men's and women's basketball tournament. As units are basically, that is a chunk of money, roughly $2 million on the men's side. It's about $100,000 on the women's side. That will, and of course, the women will see unit distribution for the first time coming up here. That money coming out of the 2025 tournament. So that money will be distributed here at some point soon for the first time. But on the men's side, about $2 million that every game you play, sometimes it's just like, well, for every game you win, it's yes, you win, you get more units, but it starts with every game you play, you are given a unit. And by you, I mean your conference. And it goes to the conference, and then it is cut up into however many pieces, how many schools are in your conference. There may be some, hey, if you're the team that went, you get a little more than everybody else. That's up to the conference to decide, but the money goes to the conference. Overall, there are 132 units given out so far. Units that are not given out, which you may not know. And this is one of those I may have known, but I was reminded doing the homework on this, is that teams are not given units for playing in the national championship game. So the most you can get as a team is 5 units right now. I guess 6 if you came from the first 4 and made it all the way to the championship game. But you don't get a unit for playing in the championship game, and you don't get a unit for winning the national championship game. And the Division I Board of Directors has introduced this proposal now where there will be 3 additional units. 2 will go to the teams playing in the national championship game, and 1 going to the team that wins the national championship. The revenue, anytime there is revenue distribution, a change in that, it has to be voted on. So the allocation of funds will have to be approved by the Board of Governors, and then every school in Division I will have to vote on it. And it's a 1 school, 1 vote situation. That will be voted on during the NCAA convention coming up in January. Now, to circle back to about the tournament expansion, and why is there a push for tournament expansion from obviously the big conferences? They are the ones really driving this, and we can try to frame this in a way that, look, it's better for the Missouri Valley if we get some more teams in here, that maybe it allows an extra team to get in. Sure. Look, Drake getting in last year and winning a game, awesome. Because we go from 2 million, it's like 2.1 to 4.2 because they got to play in 2 games. That's obviously tremendous to double the value going into going back to the conference. The SEC last year had 14 teams in the tournament. Those 14 teams won 22 games, and that doesn't actually count the 23rd game that Florida won when they won the national championship. But those 14 teams that got in and then proceeded to win 22 games all the way up to the championship, that was worth $70 million in distribution to the Southeastern Conference. 70. So, number one, that is why they want expansion. That is why the big conferences want expansion. I believe it was the Big Ten, and I believe the Big 12. They got about $40 million this past year, but the SEC got 70. So, hey, we would like there to be more teams because we would like more of our teams to get in because, hey, we love money. And so if it's 70, we would like 80 if possible. If it's 40, we want 50. Whatever it may be, everybody wants more. And that is the lesson there. I am struck by the fact that this Division I board of directors introducing a proposal for 3 additional units, which again is $6 million, that, on one hand, I'm sort of surprised. I don't know what the rationale was once upon a time when this all went into play of why the decision was made that we are not going to provide benefits to teams for making it to the championship game, let alone winning the national championship game. But hey, you made it to the finals. Good for you. We've given you all this money, but this is a freebie. Like, that doesn't really make sense. But at the same time, in this, and maybe in the end, this is a, well, if we can't get expansion, let's do this, because now you've got an additional $6 million at play, $4 million for the champion, $2 million for the, and again, it's the conference, but it's still going to already a giant pool of money. That it's $4 million for the champion, $2 million for the runner-up. Well, who's going to play for a national title? It's going to be the big boy conferences most often. Most often. We have seen runs to the Final Four. It's very rare that you get the run all the way to the championship game. San Diego State a couple years ago, obviously out of Mountain West, I believe at the time. But that's most of the time. These are the Power Four conferences they're going to play on Monday night. So, hey, maybe we can't get our expansion in here, but we'll try this, and this is going to maybe be a little more digestible to people, and they won't think necessarily of, oh, this is just a way to funnel us more money. It's 100% a way to funnel those big conferences more money. And so that vote will coming up in January. So we will keep an eye on that. All right, page 2 of notes. How about some staff promotions at Southern Illinois, as men's basketball coach Scott Nagy announcing the promotion of 3 of his staff members. Tay Gibbs, who was a player development coach last year, has been promoted to assistant coach. It's his second year at SIU. Will be the offensive coordinator for the Salukis. Darian Reddick was also a player development coach last year for SIU. He has been promoted to assistant coach. And then Justin Ensley, who has had quite the journey at Southern Illinois. He was for 4 years. He was a student manager, was the head manager for the Salukis. Last 2 seasons, he's been the director of basketball operations, and now he has been promoted to deputy assistant to the head coach. So congratulations to all 3 of those guys for their promotions. One other promotion at SIU, our friend, that they have made a decision at large for the athletic department as a whole, that our friend Luke Martin, the radio voice there for the Salukis, does basketball, football, baseball, all of it. He has been promoted to assistant athletics director for broadcast services, which is number 1, awesome. Number 2, I tried to call and congratulate him, and I was immediately sent to voicemail, and then I got a message that I now have to go through people to get to him. So Luke is, I thought Luke was salt of the earth people, and obviously he was just waiting for his moment to have a title that he can now just have people under him and keep the little peons like me separated from him. So hopefully someday I can get in the same room with him and he can use that corporate credit card now and buy me lunch. But I'm just kidding on all that. But congratulations to Luke. I'm happy and proud for him to be the assistant athletics director of broadcast services there at SIU. He has very much earned it, and he's done a great job up there. And look forward to having him come back here on Morning in the Valley if he will continue to take my calls. And one final note this morning, as we have recruiting news out of Des Moines, Iowa, as head coach Eric Henderson has picked up a commitment from Dothan Ijadimbola, a 6'6" forward out of Minneapolis. 247 Sports has him listed as a 3-star recruit. He had early offers from some big boys: Iowa, Iowa State, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Xavier. And, those were offers that came a year ago, some is 2 years ago. And we know how these offers sometimes work is, schools just trying to get in early. They may not necessarily be what they call committable offers, but just trying to build a relationship. Hey, we like what we see as a freshman. Let's see how you kind of play out and see how this goes. But we just want to start the relationship. With that said, 2 weeks ago, he got an offer from Arizona State. So dude can go without question. But Eric Henderson is the one that gets the commitment at Drake. and a big piece there to a big first piece for Eric Henderson in his 2026 recruiting class as he grabs Dothan Ijadimbola, and he is headed to Drayton. All right, enough gibberish and jabbering and all that stuff here this morning. I want to thank Kenny Roth for being with me, my tag team partner. 15 on the radio there at Murray State. 15 minutes from now, Murray State will play the University of Calgary, their final game there in the Bahamas. And then they'll get about a week and a half off or so, and then back when classes start on the 18th, they'll be back at it. This is kind of it's the dead period for coaches. Last time for coaches to get that last fleeting vacation in with families. And then before classes start again and the fall practices begin. So we are going to do our best to be able to track folks down for you here in the next week or 2 weeks prior to, again, everybody returning to campus. But on Friday, we will talk with UIC guard Ahmad Henderson, getting ready for year 2 of his time with the Flames, year 2 of the Rob Eson era there in Chicago. So we'll talk with him all about that coming up on Monday morning. Thanks to you for being with us. If you haven't done so already, please head on over to YouTube and subscribe to Morning in the Valley. It would mean a lot to me as we continue to grow this program, as we are now 89 days away from the start of the 2025-26 season. Thanks for being with us today. Thanks for watching Morning in the Valley, and we will see you on Friday morning.